flashpoints, world boss hunts, Star Wars trivia, guild lottery, and much more. Visit us on the web today at www.thesecondsithempire.com. Welcome back to Insights into Entertainment. Now we get to talk about ZoloCon. Sorry, I can't help myself.
I know.
So, ZoloCon is a sci-fi and fantasy expo that focuses on vintage toys and comics from the 1970s and up. Tell us about it. Tell us about your experience. How did you enjoy it this year?
So, this past weekend, it's funny because as far as we knew, they only did it once a year. And then I guess last year or the year before, they started doing it twice a year. Now, this year, they'll actually doing 3 different events. So this happened to be what they consider their winter edition. And it was actually the largest one to date. And we could definitely tell vendors all over the place in various different places, even in some parts of the building we had never even been to before. And every area was jam-packed. I don't think there was really any empty spaces this year.
Usually you'd go through there and you'd see like empty vendor tables or vendors that didn't show up for Sunday or something. Everybody was packed.
Yeah, everybody was there.
You have the main room where the centrifuge is, which is the highlight of the whole thing.
Right.
You have another room at that level and then a hallway that was packed.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have the upstairs room.
Right.
Where you've got 2 rooms split by a bar, which, by the way, they had alcohol on the main floor this time.
Right,
so
right.
You can get drinks the whole time and get sloshed while you're buying lots of toys.
Right, right.
And then down on the first floor, they had vendors there, which they'd never had before.
And they were also doing tattoos.
And they were doing tattoos.
There were a couple of different tattoo artists, which that seems to be like the new thing at toy shows and conventions is to have a various tattoo artist. Go buy a Luke Skywalker and get a tattoo while you're here.
So not only did we find the exhibition area downstairs, we also happened to find the restaurant they had there that we never knew they had.
Right. And I think that's relatively new as well. So that might have, been something that they started. Well, I did see the one sign that they were normally open just like Fridays, I guess, during the week. So maybe on the weekends or if they have an event and they know there are going to be people around. Because I can't see just going there for a meal. It's kind of out of the way.
Well, and that's it. The complex that they're in is an office complex.
Right.
There's a school in there. There's a manufacturing in there.
So I could see like on a Friday.
There's a lot of different stuff that's actually in there.
Right.
At what used to be the Brewster Aviation plant before World War II, and then it became the naval testing station as well. So again, Philadelphia has a lot of history just in that one little area there.
Yeah.
How were the crowds?
It was crowded, but it wasn't, it wasn't unmanageable. It was because everybody kind of flowed through, and it's done in such a way in the main room because it's where the centrifuge is. It's a big circular room. They do 2 rows. So they have the inner circle and they have the outer circle.
So it's like a dartboard.
Yeah. And they leave enough room in between so you definitely don't feel like you're getting, claustrophobic. And usually what we end up doing, because there's so much on both sides, is we'll do each aisle, each circle twice. We'll do, the outside. So we look at just that,
the left side, then you do the right side, then you come to the inner circle.
Right. And so that this way we get to see, everything, so that we're not, oh, did you see that? No, I was looking over here. And I never felt like there wasn't enough room to do that. they do have stairs to get to the upstairs area, but there's also elevators, which were very spacious, because we ended up taking
'Cause
that.
it was like a cargo elevator.
Yeah. So
Which was themed, by the way.
yes, it was. It was space themed, so it was just so.
That was kinda neat.
That part is kind of cool, but they have something for everyone. You know, they have if you're into pops, which that seems to be a
Which I'm not.
big seller. You know, almost everybody, you know, you'll find a handful or two handfuls of vendors that are selling that. Then you have brand new toys that are out. Obviously the vintage toys, and that's what a lot of people obviously are going for. There was the one vendor, I think this was the first time we saw, who does pins.
Yes.
Beautiful pins. So between Maddie and myself, you know, we bought a bunch of different pins.
Well, and even the pendant guy that I had bought the one
Yeah, I was
thing
going to
at,
say the
which I don't
pendant.
want to talk about because he hasn't gotten his
Right, he
presents yet,
hasn't
but-
gotten his stuff yet.
But the pendant guy that's there who hand makes his own pendants.
Right,
And it was neat because he's there interacting with it. He's not just selling his stuff.
right.
He's soliciting input for what you'd like to see him make
Right,
in his
like
next show.
what would you like me to make? So that's what's always so cool about these events is it's that unique item that you didn't know existed maybe, or you did and you're like, you know, the one guy who we've seen, you know, because again, we go to so many of these now that we run into a lot of the same you know, vendors, but
Right.
it's like, okay, well, what do you have for this show? And the one guy, he sells Lego minifigures and he makes the Lego figures. This time around, I didn't buy a Lego figure from him. He was selling purses and wallets, and he had a Haunted Mansion purse, and I was like, all right, take my money.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it, again, something you never know what you're going to find when you go. And like you said, part of the whole ZoloCon experience is the venue itself. Just, you know, knowing the history of that building and what happened there. And that was what was kind of cool too this time around, was because we were going to these other areas of the building, there were more pictures and plaques and different historical things about what had happened at that building in the past. So that's
The one
really kind of
thing
cool.
that I had noticed was while it was vendor heavy, it was kind of light on artists this time around. There wasn't many. Like last time, there was probably 3 or 4 times as many artists
Yeah.
on that inner ring there. Didn't get as many artists this time. So I don't know if it's really it's not a comic book show,
Right,
even though there are guys that are selling comics.
right.
So you don't get a lot of artists. They had the one author there who Maddie had bought her book last time. that
Oh,
we were
okay.
there, but not really a lot in the way of artwork,
Right,
which I don't have enough room on my walls right now as it
Mhm.
is, but
right.
kind of noticed that was one of the big changes. They also changed the refreshment area up here
Mm-hmm.
this time because they put the alcohol down where the refreshments were, so you didn't have the seating area there. So
Right.
for someone like me who I can't stay on my feet that long, it was kind of difficult trying to find little nooks and so forth here. And in fact, when we left, I had to send you guys back up for
Right.
the last piece I wanted because I couldn't do all the walking.
Right. Right.
So happy with what you got? Did you get anything that was good?
Yeah, we, like I said, Maddie and I got a couple of pins. I ended up getting some Star Wars Pyrex, really for you, for
Right.
lunches. So, yeah, interesting, unique things that wouldn't have thought to
Well, let me
find. And
cue up the video.
Sure.
We can. This was video footage that we took while we were there, and I had Maddie walk around with the camera for a little bit.
Mhm.
You know, just to see what some of the things were that they had.
Yeah, so it's neat to see, you know, because again, here's the big giant centrifuge and various space stuff just there while you're walking around.
But you can see how wide these aisles
Oh,
are. So
yeah.
there's plenty of room
Yeah.
for the aisles, which is nice. So you're not elbow to elbow with people. like
Right,
you are at
right.
Some of the shows.
Right. You know, some of the sections, with individual vendors, if they had like a little corner and you wanted to go into the corner to see, then it might have been tight. But other than that, for the most part, and there were a lot of people there when we were there, so it wasn't like it was
And this was Sunday that we were there.
right. We usually always tend to go on a Sunday.
If we're not going for panels or for celebrities, which we usually don't go for, we'll almost always go on a Sunday. We'll go on the last day of the show because the vendors tend to be a lot more interested in selling their stuff.
Right.
'Cause they
Yeah,
don't
and you
wanna
have,
take it home.
a bunch of the vendors with homemade,
a couple of vendors with D&D stuff, dice
right.
and dice towers,
Mhm.
which, it's kind of nice to see that coming into its own now.
Right.
I really need to coach her on how not to make sudden movements with the camera. A couple of these I had to slow down.
Go slow. Yeah, it's just such a nice, because like the one vendor selling coffee, he wasn't there at
Right.
this one. So, here was
There's
the
your
pin,
Yeah.
and all
ton of pins. too.
ton of different types of pins, and more on her website, which is nice. A couple of people dressed up, not a whole lot.
Not a lot.
But there were some. They were doing a custom toy.
Well, they usually do a costume contest. Did they do that on Saturday? Is that why?
I don't know, maybe, but they were doing a custom toy contest.
Right, like a action figure. toy.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So again, lots of different pops.
I was talking to that particular vendor. He said he's got 3,000 pops back at his shop
Oh, I
right
bet.
now.
I bet. And then you have different video games. So if you play any, older systems, there's usually always a couple of different people selling that. Sometimes you get a t-shirt person
Yep.
selling things. The one t-shirt guy who does t-shirt artwork and pins, he happened to be there, so I picked up a t-shirt from him. Maddie picked up another pin of his because I follow him on Facebook, so I knew he had an Owl House, which is one of the shows that she and I watch on Disney Plus. So he had a pin that had come out a couple of months ago, so we knew he was going to be there, so we definitely made a beeline to go and get something from him.
Well,
so.
and the thing that's really nice is that when you have that many vendors there, you don't get a lot of duplicate vendors. You get
Yes.
a lot of variety, a lot of different things to choose from. And the vendors, like the interaction with the vendors, I think since COVID, really, I've noticed, has been very positive. They're very outgoing. They're very engaging now.
Because everybody misses being around
Yeah.
people and talking to people and
Yeah.
and doing
And
this.
I struck up a conversation with one of the vendors. I was there for 15 minutes just talking about, how the shows have been going and how business has been and, different types of customers. And they're not just vendors. They're people that love the same things that you love
Right,
too. So
right.
it's almost like a community at this point.
Oh,
which is kinda
absolutely.
nice.
Absolutely. And that was, they one of the Facebook groups, they have another ZoloCon Facebook group, and it was one of the organizers of it, and he was just over the moon about how well it went, and that this was their largest attendance to date, and that they couldn't speak, they had so many nice things to say about the vendors that were there, about the guests that were there, about just everything all around, just giving out the love.
It's a great show. It's a great venue. It's not far for us. It's in Warminster.
Right.
So it's 45 minutes?
About 45 minutes for us. Yeah.
So it's not that far from us, and it's just it's a nice day out. And it's kind of nice to go out there and buy stuff that you can't buy anywhere else.
Right, exactly. And that's what's always, and I think for us now, we've kind of we've gotten to the point where we just have way too much stuff. You've seen our collection, and it's still, since we did that video, a year ago now, there's been more stuff.
And that was only a small sampling.
That wasn't even all of it. Where we've kind of come to the conclusion we don't need to buy anything more. Yeah. So for us to go to a show, it's really to see,
it's the experience.
It's the experience of it, or to find that.
Well,
unique...
I'm going to find stuff for other people now. Like I managed to get 2 really cool things for Sam this time.
Right.
That I couldn't get anywhere else. But that's kind of where I'm at.
Right. And Maddie ended up picking up a couple of things that she wouldn't have normally been able to find. And the things that I got, again, were that unique, individual, one-of-a-kind
the types
thing.
Of things that I would be looking to add to my collection at this point are things that would require me to mortgage the house. So I'm trying not to add things to my collection at this point.
Right. And or if you find that small little thing that, okay, that's not going to take up, a lot of room, or, or this adds to somebody else, or something to go with D&D, or, something.
Yeah, that's really what I'm looking for now. I was kind of disappointed I didn't find any D&D minis there. Not that I need more minis either.
Right,
but.
You don't need more minis either. But that's, that's the thing, is for us, it's also the experience of just going and being with the community.
Absolutely.
And again, this is the type of show where there aren't panels, there aren't the celebrities to go see. It's not like Monster Mania or Wizards or, some of the other shows. It's really...
Fan Expo. It's not Wizards anymore. It'll always be Wizards.
It'll always be Wizards to me, just like Downtown Disney. You can't take that away from me.
All right. So I think we've covered that one pretty well. We're going to take another quick break, and when we come back, we're gonna get a feeler for how Bob's doing. The new old Bob. That's what I should have named this. The New Old Bob Show. We'll be right back.
Insights into Teens, a podcast series exploring the issues and challenges of today's youth. Talking to real teens about real teen problems. Explore issues from braces to puberty, social anxiety to financial responsibility. Each week, we talk about the topics concerning today's youth. We look at how the issues affect teens, how to cope with these issues, and how parents, friends, and loved ones can help teens handle these challenges. Check out our video episodes on youtube.com/insightsintothings. Catch our audio versions on podcast.insightsintoteens.com or on the web at insightsintothings.com.
So Bob is back at Disney. Not that Bob, the other Bob.
Right.
So
the original Bob.
We've swapped Bob's back to the old Bob. And he's facing some challenges. He's only supposed to be there for 2 years, kind of a short time to turn things around. Chapek did a brilliant job of running things into the ground in the short amount of time that he was there. One of the first things that Iger's doing now that he's back is apparently slashing 7,000 jobs, and there's $5.5 billion in cost cutting he has to make somewhere. Should I feel bad that Disney's hard up for cash at this point in time?
And that's the thing is, are they really? Because I haven't seen anything where...
Not according to their stock price, they're not.
Right. That's, where it's kind of, huh?
Right. And it's almost imagined, because you look at some of the things that they're running into, and you're running into sluggish box office sales. Like, for instance, that new Quantumania movie came out and it tanked at the box office. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, box office sales are down in general since COVID.
Right.
That plus everyone knows that their stuff's going to come out on Disney Plus in a few months. So
Right,
why
so
spend the money to
why-
go to the box office?
Right.
The streaming business has been hit hard because they've completely flooded the market and turned people off with crap, really. I mean, they're literally just churning out stuff to put on there,
Right.
and it's not quality stuff. So
Or the
streaming's taking a
stuff
hit.
that is good, they cancel after 2 seasons.
Yeah.
You know, there have been a number of shows that Maddie and I have started to watch, and it's like, oh, by the way, this is done now.
Right.
Like, oh, we couldn't even get like a second season or a third season. Like, okay,
Right.
thanks. So it almost makes you not want to watch something
Right.
until there's
It's almost like
3 or 4
Google.
seasons out.
Like nobody wants to get Google comes out with really cool stuff, but as soon as you
Right.
get into it, they cancel it and it goes
Mhm.
away. So
Right.
nobody wants to do that. And Disney's putting themselves into the same
Mm-hmm.
position as well. They're canceling shows that I'm not even watching.
And-
Usually I'm the one that kills shows when I watch them and start getting into them.
Exactly.
So I think that 5.5 billion they're talking about really is it's a fictitious number that they think they should be making that. I don't think Disney's losing money. Disney's got more money than God.
Mhm.
You know, when God needs to put a new world in place, he goes to Disney for a loan.
Is that what it does?
So it's not that Disney's losing money. They're just not making it as fast as they want to.
Okay.
And part of the problem you run into is, yeah, you know what? You keep coming out with superhero movies just for the sake of coming out with superhero movies. They finally reached the point of saturation with Marvel, and nobody wants to go see it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Well, they learned that lesson pretty fast with Star Wars.
Right.
You know, they flooded the market with Star Wars, trying to turn it into another Marvel, and that bit them in the butt really quick.
Right.
So I can't feel bad for Disney.
Mm-hmm.
So the real question comes down to, in 2 years, can they come up with a succession plan for Iger? And really what I have to ask is, do you need a succession plan for Iger? Is he really going to be gone in 2 years?
Mm.
Because given how much his incentive is for success, I don't see him going away anytime soon.
Yeah, I could see him still staying on as a consultant
Right.
when he's still
Right.
doing
So,
things. But then again, you also have to look at everything that's kind of going on right now in the state of Florida. And
true
that's
as
a
well.
whole other kit and caboodle of that whole toxicness
Well,
that
and let's be honest. What's going on in Florida is a temporary thing.
hopefully.
It's temporary because it's a pissing match between DeSantis and Disney.
Right.
And it really was a pissing match between DeSantis and Chapek.
Right.
And Chapek's out of the picture. And
Right.
DeSantis is going to be out of the picture in 2024 when he runs for president anyway.
Hopefully.
So it doesn't really, that's not that big a deal. In fact, Disney came out with a statement recently basically saying, you know, we're going to focus on what we do best. We're going to provide the best experience for people, blah, blah. They took the high ground.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't buy into the taunting and the stick poking that DeSantis was trying to draw them into.
Mm-hmm.
And they basically said, look, we operate under numerous jurisdictions and numerous regulations around the world, and we make it work, and we'll make it work here.
Mm-hmm.
So ultimately, I think what's going to happen with this little pissing match between DeSantis and Disney is the taxpayers are going to lose out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they skirted around the idea of having to take on all that debt for Reedy Creek by just restructuring the zone itself, and now DeSantis has his hand-picked group of
Right. He
board
picked all of
members in
his
there.
board members and everything.
Well, the fact of the matter is, Disney's been supplementing Reedy Creek since it was created.
Mm-hmm.
Disney's not going to do that anymore.
Right.
So Reedy Creek, or whatever the Central Florida Tourism District, or whatever they call it now because they had to rename it, they're not going to have the same budget they had before, but they still have the same requirements. And it's ultimately the people of Florida that are going to have to pay for that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when people look at their tax bill after this whole fiasco, this little vindictive fiasco that the DeSantis put together, they're going to realize, well, maybe we shouldn't have reelected him for this. Maybe he's having a hard time keeping politics out of business and keeping it from being personal. And, that's really what it was. It was his own little
Oh, absolutely.
crusade.
Absolutely.
And ultimately, when the Florida taxpayers get their bill, that's when you're going to start seeing things change. And I think what's going to happen is by the time he goes to run for president, those tax bills are going to be in. And it's going to seriously impact his ability to raise money for his campaign. That's just what I think. I'm not a fortune teller myself. So that state down there of flux is really not going to be that big of an impact. Disney's the number one job maker in the state.
Absolutely.
Do you really want to piss him off and have him leave the state?
And that's the thing, because there are a lot of people who, don't forget, there were a lot of people from California where they, the Disney company was transferring a lot of jobs from California down to Florida. And now there are a lot of people that are like, I don't know if I want to go down here in this hostile environment right now, the way that things are. So now there's, some various talk going back and forth of, well, maybe we should wait 2 years before, making this change, that maybe California is the better idea. And of course, there's, all the different people saying that, gee, I wonder what Florida would be like if Disney decided, you know what, we're going to just up and move Walt Disney World to a different part of the country.
Right.
And see how quick,
I mean, you're going to, it's Disney is such a huge part of the economy down there that all they have to do is move one division that they have down there, and you're talking thousands of jobs that move out of the state.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's the response, it's a direct response to DeSantis. He can't afford that bad press.
No.
And the only reason he's doing the things he's doing now, and the other stunts that he's doing, it's not just Disney centric. The whole stunt with the flying migrants up to Democrat cities, and his whole stance. I love the fact that he's got this major stance against border security. Somebody really needs to tell the man he doesn't have a border with another country with his state. He doesn't. So you don't have border security.
Right.
So he's doing all this just for the publicity he needs to gain national attention so that he can make a run for 2024. After 2024, assuming he doesn't win, after 2024, he's going to be relegated to the crap pile of history at that point in time.
He's going to be wishing he had a job at Disney.
Yeah, because he's burning every bridge there. Because what's Disney going to do? They thought they bought him as a politician because they backed his original election. What's going to happen when your politician that you bought doesn't vote in your favor? You're going to go buy another politician.
Right, exactly.
And the last thing you want is to have literally one of the largest corporations in the world, again, a company with more money than God, backing a politician other than you in the presidential race.
Yep.
That's never going to end well for a DeSantis.
No.
And that's exactly what's going to wind up happening.
Here's to hoping.
Plus all those voters that they have down there.
Oh,
all those
absolutely.
taxpayers that they have down there that are getting screwed by DeSantis. Does he think they're going to vote for him for president? If he gets into a pissing match with Disney when he's just a governor of a state, what's he going to do as president? He's not going to be looking out for these people.
No.
So he's burning his own bridges. So by 2024, between him and Trump tearing the Republican Party to the ground and literally just burning it to the ground, he's not going to have anything after 2024. So I'm not worried about any of that stuff.
Okay.
But, Iger's staying out of that now. It was funny how he was commenting on it when Chapek was steering the ship in the wrong direction.
Right. to try and get him.
Right. Chapek already had the company in the ditch, and he was over there kind of poking a stick in his cage about it.
Right.
Now that he's back in charge, he's not saying anything about it. He's tight-lipped about the whole thing.
Which is the way it needs to be.
Exactly. So the one thing I did see is that they're doing away with the parking charge.
Right. We did see that was, one of the things that did go away.
And that helps me to justify going down.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's really been one of the only things I've seen kind of come back. I know they were talking about the reservation system, that they were still leaving that in place, but they were opening it up for more people. The park hopping, changing the time on that to make it more accessible. I think they were starting to do some of the annual passes.
Right. They were doing the extra magic hours in the morning. They were expanding out to other resorts.
Right.
So the problem is Chapek dug a huge hole.
Right.
He's got to claw his way out of before he wins people like me back.
Yeah.
And I wasn't a big fan of Vigers to begin with.
Right.
So he's got his work cut out for him.
Right.
I would want to be in his position. And I don't think he's going to be able to fix all of this stuff in 2 years.
No, I think a lot of it's going to take time, because it's one of those things. They were so quick to make the changes in the first place. And then, of course, you had the pandemic that kind of escalated it.
Kind of breathed down everyone's neck about it.
Right. So like now you have, they're starting to do dining options again. Like not the traditional dining plan that they had before, but something.
And they got to get rid of the Genie Plus. Oh my God.
They're not though. That's the problem. Genie Plus isn't going anywhere. They're modifying it again.
They'll never win me back.
Right.
With Genie Plus. I'm sorry. It was a waste of money. It was a terrible experience. I walked out of Disney for the first time in, 18 years that we've been going? 15 years that we've been going? Walked out of the first time and felt like I didn't get my money's worth out of it. And when you're paying Disney money, you damn well better feel like you're getting your money's worth out of it.
No, I agree. I was very disappointed with it as well. But you never even you never felt like you had that with the fast passes. Like you didn't have to really learn how to navigate it. It was, there were probably people when Fast Pass first started that had a hard time with it and didn't quite understand how to make it work. And that was.
Once you're going to hang a Fast Pass, you could make the system work for you.
Right.
There's no way the Genie Plus works for anybody.
I don't know. That's the thing is I think we probably needed to do a little bit more research. But that's
it's a broken system.
But that's my whole point, is that I shouldn't have to take a college course in how to use Genie Plus before I go on a vacation. And
the thing is, they build it as being anybody can use it. It's super convenient. You do everything through the app. Everything's wonderful.
Right.
Well, one, I'm paying for it. Two, it has built-in restrictions that doesn't even come close to comparing with FastPass the way it was.
Right.
Three, the app was terrible.
Right.
It was confusing. It didn't always work. Oh, and you got to kill your phone battery just so you can get around the park.
Right, exactly.
Terrible idea.
Right. The idea is I'm on a vacation. I shouldn't have to be constantly on my phone. Like when they had FastPass Plus, when they had the FastPass system, as long as you knew what time your FastPass was for,
it was simple.
You didn't need to be on your phone.
I could do all that on my phone, or I could go to a kiosk, or I could go to a park cast member in the park. I got options.
Right.
And that was free.
Right.
I'm paying for a system that they've deliberately handicapped now.
Right.
So as long as that's in place, they're not going to get me back. It's just that simple.
No, I agree.
So, sorry, Bob, but it's an uphill battle. I wouldn't want his job.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even want his salary for his job, to be honest with you.
It's gonna take a while. It's not something that's gonna.
But that's the thing. He doesn't have a while.
He doesn't have a while. Yes, I know. Well,
So
and
unless
maybe
he's making revolutionary changes, they're breathing down his neck about $5.5 billion that they didn't lose, that they want back because they're not making money
Right.
fast enough. That's what they're concerned about.
and that's the thing is, where is it that you're cutting these jobs? Is it from, certain divisions? Is it a
'cause
little bit?
They didn't ramp back up from the cuts from COVID.
Right. And that was going to be my next thing is I know that there are still cast members from the parks that never got called back because they just never opened up that section of the park or, where they had worked before. So
Yeah.
that's okay. How many, are these new cuts? Now what are you going to cut? What are you closing? Or is it,
Yeah.
that's the whole thing.
What service am I losing now when I
Right.
go down?
But I'm
Because
paying
you're
for.
not going to cut the price.
Right.
You're going to raise the price and cut
Because
the
you need to
service
make
again.
them right. Because
Right.
you need to make the money now.
So I'll wait for the dust to settle
Yeah.
and figure out who his successor is and how bad they are
Yeah, I guess
before
we'll
I
have
go
to
back
see.
down. Anyway. Okay, we haven't had a chance to bash Disney in a while. It's good to
See, do you feel better now?
I do. I feel like there's a weight lifted off of me now. This was such a great de-stressor for me.
I'm so glad.
So that's all we had today. Before we do go, I want to once again invite our listening and viewing audience to subscribe to the podcast. Audio versions of this podcast can be found listed as Insights into Entertainment. You can get audio and video of all of our podcasts listed as Insights into Things. We're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, Stitcher, etc. I would also invite you to write to us. You can email us at comments@insightsintothings.com.
You can find us on Twitter at twitter.com/insights_things.
We do stream 5 days a week on Twitch at twitch.tv/insightsintothings.
You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/insightsintothingspodcast.
You can find us streaming 6 days a week on YouTube, as well as all of our videos on YouTube at youtube.com/insightsintothings.
You can find us on Instagram at instagram.com/insightsintothings.
Or you can find all that and more on our official website at insightsintothings.com. That's it. Another one in the books.
Have a good week, everyone.
Bye.
Bye. Insightful podcasts by informative hosts. Insights into Things, a podcast network. Welcome to Insights into Entertainment, a podcast series taking a deeper look into entertainment and media. Your hosts, Joseph and Michelle Whalen, a husband and wife team of pop culture fanatics, are exploring all things from music and movies to television and fandom.
Welcome to Insights in Entertainment. This is episode 148, Swapping the Bobs Again. I'm your host, Joseph Whalen, and my patient and understanding co-host, Michelle Whalen.
Hi, everyone.
How you doing today, dear?
I'm doing okay. How are you?
I'm doing all right. We've been out of the loop for a while here with the podcast.
Yeah, we sure have.
We've had a lot going on.
Yeah, that is true. We've been busy.
We've had marching band syndrome. We've had COVID syndrome. You can still hear it in my voice probably that I'm still suffering from a little bit, and this is almost 2 months after getting it now.
Yeah, we're almost 2 months.
Almost
Yeah.
2 months now, so I'm still reeling from its effects. given the severity I had it with, I'm kind of glad I got my shots, all the shots that I did.
I was just gonna say, you know, we were all very fortunate to have all been vaccinated and boosted, and we were just about so close to getting our next round of boosters, and then we all kind of got sick, and yeah, that kind of put things on the back burner. But fortunately, we all had a very mild case. You know, we were all very fortunate. You know, unfortunately, you are still reeling with it, but not as bad as it could have been, obviously.
Right. And we have marching band to thank for that. We're pretty sure we got it from marching band.